of digital. Another year of insightful talks on the impact of digitalization in electric power. I am your host, Nofel Khamis, and I'll be taking you through this afternoon's session. Today, guided by carbon neutrality goals, the global energy transformation is in full swing, and power security and assurance and efficiency improvements are critical. At this year's Huawei Global Electric Power Summit, we will explore the paths of electric power digitalization 2030 from multiple perspectives, such as digital transformation, infrastructure, value-added services. Please sit back and relax as we unveil 2 white papers and intelligent substation solution. Our first topic of today is unleash digital and create new value for electric power. Speaking to you about this is COO, Electric Power Digitalization Business Unit at Huawei Enterprise Business Group, Mr. Joe Huawei. Please.
green energy and economic factors, which works against each other, not with each other. And of course, the third part is our future power system. So we should consider generation, grids, and load side. So we want to achieve our goals and optimize the way we deal with the new challenge we are facing today. We should consider these three. At present and future, green environment and new energy is a big trend. In our view, the required green and low carbon development can only be achieved with digital transformation and new innovative ICT. This trend is evolving rapidly. Here are two examples where it's happened in China. So on your left, as you see, is the example we cooperate with the state grids of China. Reliable PV power grid connectivity creates an intelligent and situational infrastructure that realizes power consumptions and a sovereign capacity of 67% in 80% lower construction cost. And also this trend, and also on your right, you can see another example which what happened in Yancheng in China. And also this award is a net zero carbon intelligent campus solution. Now it's in place, which covers 85% new energy, where 3 million kilowatt hours is saved per year, and where 5,600 tons of emission are being reduced per year. Now it's clear that the required green and low carbon development can only be achieved with digitalization and new innovative ICT. So where we have to recognize that our industry also is not digital native industry. As the trend and the digital journey move on, we do need to give extra attention to safety and security, especially digital. The traditional power system have many physical reliability and security, but the digital part is often not available because of the non-digital native character of its design and architecture. So next generation power system have a bit more of this, but often a mix and match of the product. We believe security is the cornerstone of the digital foundation, and as such, security embedded in our engineering and design, and is unlocked and available throughout the value chain, make it end-to-end. So in the middle section of this slide, you will see the interdependency of each separate items. And you can see how and in what ways we consider safeguarding the availability, reliability, and security of energy and E2E value chains. So I have mentioned many times about the innovative ICT. So Huawei is highly known for the innovation and R&D. We apply continuous innovation in ICT to facilitate a secure, efficient, clean, low carbon, and innovative development. So, and we apply this throughout this throughout the value chain. And recent year happening and at the recent events happening around us in the world. So we understand that energy security, economic development, carbon neutrality need to be balanced as a strategy. And security, digital transformation is the core capability to achieve the success future. So with the security as the foundation, Huawei has the solution to protect from the transport layer to the network layer and data layer. And as the digitalization is considered as the key, digital technology need to be widely integrated with the traditional energy technology. For instance, on power line and digital substation, and also compass. So where is Huawei coming in? To add value and support all stages of the value chain, from power generation to the transmission, and the transformation to the power distribution and power consumption. So we focus on the ICT infrastructure and service to help unlock industry value with application, continuous innovation, and also the new service. So we bring together our worldwide range of the products and services to make it best fit for the power industry. We have restructured our organizations to have established the industry specific digitalization business unit. And also we have established a strong ecosystem for each industry. And all our experience and know-how is available to our customer and partner. So first, let me explain a bit more detail in Huawei's strong part. So when it comes to the digital transformation development in the electric power, now ICT products need to meet the application requirements and find the technology for different scenarios. So for example, the first on the left, the substations have deployed many sensor terminals. In the past, the data would transmit back through wide network. However, network construction and cabling affect the product's capability and benefit. The traditional Wi-Fi cannot meet the requirement of the wireless network due to the electromagnetic interference and delay. So to address this issue, Huawei launched the Wi-Fi 6 products to provide the anti-interference and low latency. The device access time is stretched half a day, greatly improve service efficiency. So in addition, another example, multiple product portfolio are combined as the integrated portfolio for different typical scenarios. To help the right technology for each industry, we have fertilized the digitalized business unit, such as electric power digitalization business unit. As we talked today, this restructuring helps us shorten the management, commercialization, and approval line, and it helps integrate and bring together all necessary resources to cooperate with our customer and our partner. So let me explain with an example for the modern management of equipment of the digital substation solution. With 3 months, we went from the innovation and R&D to FOA. Normally, detection went from reaction and passive to proactive brain detection down to just a few seconds. The amount of daily fares allowance went down from 100 a day to no more than 7 per day. So, and I think this is the best way to show why we built electric power business unit to cooperate with our partner to serve the partner and the customer. So as we always say, alone we go fast, together we go far. So following our platform plus ecosystem strategy, the power triangle of customer, partner, and ourselves will work closely together throughout the value chain of planning, operation, construction. We work with a value range of partners to help deliver professional service, achieve shared success, and most importantly, create new value together. And we are very open to work with you and add more partners to our ecosystem. So to achieve the goal of the carbon neutrality, we must integrate energy transition and digital transformation. Maybe this will be a long journey and complex journey. We try our best to cooperate with the customer and with our partner. So finally, today also, we will launch a white paper, Intelligent World 2030. So this white paper is our experience from our partner and customer, from the digitalization experience. So hopefully this will help to unleash the digital for this industry. Please, you can scan the code and download it. Okay, thank you again for joining our summit. I hope together we can unleash the digital and create the new value for our industry. Thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Haoji, for your insights. It's amazing what digital solutions can provide, especially when great minds and enterprises come together. Speaking of great minds, in 2017, Eskom partnered with Huawei to accelerate digital transformation. The power company said this collaboration was aimed at accelerating digital transformation in the power industry. Now, 7 years later, let us hear from CIO of Eskom, Ms. Faith Byrne, on Eskom's digitalization transformation practices. Welcome to the stage.
I'm giving up on you. In South Africa, we have the South African National Blood Services, and they use drones to transport blood. And the reason why they do, their business outcome is that we find that the mortality rate in young mothers in the rural areas are quite high. And so and one of the reasons why it's high is they don't have easy access to blood. And so the South African National Blood Services actually transports blood via a drone to these young mothers in rural areas. And then the next example of really cool and nice tech, I'm sorry, my fingers, there we go, is electric vehicles. And at Eskom, we are also looking at electric vehicles at the moment. My colleague in distribution has procured some electric vehicles, and he's in the process of doing that. So these are all really nice and cool tech to talk about. And I'm going to leave that to all of you, the experts, to do that. I'm going to talk about strategy. So let's talk about what really happens when you have to do a digital transformation. And one of the things that I normally do when I start at an organization is I scan the industry. And when I started at Eskom, I also scanned the industry, and I looked at a couple of examples. I looked at Enel, I looked at Iberdrola, and I looked at Duke Energy. And I found them to be very informative. I loved how they embraced cloud in their journey as electric supplying or energy industry players. I loved how they embraced cloud. I loved how they embraced digitalization. But all three of them have in common the fact that they believe that cloud is the starting point of digitalization. I found the Enel study quite interesting, and so I delved a little bit deeper into Enel. And I just looked at what they were doing, and some of the things that they were doing was also around their culture transformation. An interesting thing that they were doing is they created a separate business line, and they called it Enel X. And within that, they had different divisions: e-industries for industry players, mobility, home and city. And that is how they started to leverage, and they talk about their organization as a platform organization. But what's interesting is tools are great, right? Tools are great, drones are wonderful, but what does it do to our bottom line? And what I found with Enel is that it actually doubled their bottom line year on year and increased by 60% in that third year. So for those of you who are wanting to embrace digitalization and thinking that some people in your organization might just think that it's only about tools and it's only about tech, actually, it improves your bottom line. So I did that, and then I found out that, like I said earlier, it's really about the culture. It's about the right digital talent and skills. It's about the right digital business model. It's about the right digital operating model and the digital traction metrics. And like I said, the tools and the tech, Huawei is quite capable of delivering that to us. For me, from a CIO perspective, I needed to ensure that my organization is ready to embrace those tools. So then I took a step further and I said, well, I've looked at the industry, so how do I craft my possibilities for digitalization? And to do that, I started with a business. And what I mean by starting with a business is I looked at the different value chains. In Eskom, we provide 95% of the electricity in South Africa to South Africans. We have a mandate to improve South African lives and to provide that electricity efficiently. And so part of that process is we generate, we transmit, and we distribute. And so I looked at those service lines of generation, transmission, and distribution. And then I said, well, what is it that we're trying to achieve? And I looked at all the divisional executive outlooks, their objectives, their strategic objectives. Beyond that, I asked myself what then could support those strategic objectives. For example, predictive maintenance and smart asset planning are some key aspects that could. But then to do that, what are the digital tech solutions that could support it? And those are cloud. And to just give you a little bit of insight, Eskom is a state-owned entity in South Africa. It is classified as critical infrastructure. And what that does mean is that in a private organization, you can make a decision about going to cloud, you can contact Huawei, and you can have an agreement with them, and you implement. For Eskom, because we're critical infrastructure, I needed to align with our state security agency in South Africa. And so I needed them to agree that we can actually implement cloud. And that was quite a process, and I did that. And then once that was achieved, I could then get approval from the board before I actually could go ahead and implement cloud. Happy to say that I can implement and got all the approvals. And so we're at the beginning stages, and we've started to move some of our first workloads into cloud. That journey then, once you've looked at the possibilities, I showed you in the previous screen, your journey then, for me, it was defining the strategic goals. You always need to start with the business outcomes, what you want to achieve. And then you'll see in the corner there that talks about output. That's the real Eskom output. So what I've done is looked at all the service lines. For every service line, look at the strategic objectives, then looked at the challenges that they are having, and underneath the challenges, what then are the possibilities or the possible solutions that we could implement for them, and then what is the tech? There's drones. So that's why we've been starting with a little bit of the drones. We've got some pilots where we're doing line inspections with drones. But the idea is to have an integrated Eskom-wide view of it, because what I found was that a lot of the divisions were doing their own, but there wasn't an integrated map to how you approach digitalization. And then if you're taking, for example, a tool like a drone, are you using it in the most efficient and cost-effective manner? And are you using it across the board, across the entire business? And so I received a mandate from our board to integrate all of this and to provide them with a map around where we are actually going with digitalization. And part of that map and part of that process is to do inventory. But let me just show you what I use for process. So my approach that I go for normally, and I've sourced this from various sources, and I reference them, but I've got like a 6-step approach, and I start with a digital innovation hub. The way we do digital has got to be different to the way we do things normally. And so I start with a digital innovation hub, and the importance of that is that you have representation across your business. The second thing is to do an approach and to define your problems and your opportunities, and I've shown you some of that input. I must tell you, I don't do this necessarily sequentially. So you have seen my output previously on the previous slide. I don't necessarily do it sequentially because I believe that you need to fly the plane while you're fixing it. You don't have the luxury in today's age to sit back, plan, and then do a waterfall approach. So I do it simultaneously, and I'm in the process now of doing a digital inventory, which is at step 3. And the key about that digital inventory is to arrive at a place where we all understand what the organization is looking for, we all understand what is already in place, and that we have an integrated approach, and like a cost-effective approach to your digitalization. I'm not going to take you through all these steps because I'm running out of time, but I'm sure the slides can be shared. To do that, though, your IT organization, as a CIO, my IT organization needed to be ready. Remember, we spoke about your operating model, your business model, and so that organization has to be ready. And what I did is I have what I call a 1-5-84 approach, which is 1 vision, 5 themes, 84 initiatives. Now, I don't do 84 initiatives in 1 year. What I do is I select the first 5, do those, and then carry on. And what I'm going to do today is just share with you the first 5 that I've selected. And from an IT perspective within Eskom, what we selected is, we've said we needed to have an omni-channel orchestration, one of our key priorities. We need to have the right digital thinking and the right digital skills, and it deals with the culture. I have an organization of plus minus 1,000 people, and so it's important that we have the same culture and that we have the approach to digital that's a little different to the age-old approach. Then cloud engineering is critical, and that's why that decision that I needed from the board was so important, and the alignment that I needed with our state security agency was as important. And then, of course, APIs, platforms, microservices. And then another cultural impact is I need a culture of innovation. I need an enterprise that's lean and agile. And the way that I'm going to be doing it, and I've started to do it, is I first start with the IT team, and then I transpose that through, you need a critical mass, and I transpose that through to the entire organization. So those are the 5 bold steps to get your organization ready for the digital transitioning. But what I've learned and what I remind myself to not forget about is that digitalization is about people. The tech is wonderful, it's cool, it's great, and it's great that it works, and it's great that we've got service providers like Huawei who actually provide wonderful infrastructural and other cloud capabilities. But digitalization is about people. And what I'm learning is that you can't be sequential in your approach. You need to do what you can, and like I said earlier, fly the plane, fix the plane while you're flying it. You need to remember to create for the business and with the business. So you start with the business outcomes. When you're starting with the business outcomes, it means you start to talk business before you talk tech. So you start to look at the bottom line and how you can impact the bottom line before you actually look at what technology will service that. You build for versatility, you build for adaptability. And when you do the inventory, the thing that people don't want, especially those in your organizations that have started to play around with some of the digital tools, like the drones, etc., they don't want you to judge them. They just want you to come along with them and help them achieve their business outcomes. And I found that from a CIO perspective, that's what I needed to do in our organization. Adapting the operating model, the IT operating model, so that we're ready for digitalization, and to never underestimate awareness and stakeholder engagement. A friend of mine always says you need to say something 7 times before somebody actually hears you. And so never get exhausted in saying the same thing over and over. You find different creative ways of how you can say the same thing, but don't get exhausted about it, because maybe by the 6th or the 7th time, they'll actually hear what you have to say. It's a journey. We started now, and life is wonderful. It's great for us to live in the era that we live in. It's a journey. We need to enjoy the journey. Let's not just look at the end. There's never just one destination. It's always a journey when it comes to digitalization. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to me.
Utilities for a very long time. Why suddenly change? Why do we need digital? And the way I try and describe it is, unfortunately, our network has changed. And this is a very sort of a basic depiction of why the network has evolved. We were running generation, we were then transmitting it, we were distributing it, people were consuming it, and we were collecting the money. What's wrong with it? And we've been doing it with our SCADA systems, OMS systems, doing maintenance and inspections. What was wrong? No, unfortunately, the grid is evolving, as we all know. The expectation is, you've heard it all day today about sustainability. We need to be greener. Unfortunately, with the greener sustainability things, the problem comes is reliability of these renewable sources. You'll only be generating renewables when there is enough sun or winds blowing. So things have changed. So it's not just a one-way traffic rule which we used to follow and everybody was happy. It's suddenly changed. The problem is another fold. Fortunately or unfortunately, our consumers have changed as well. Suddenly, the whole economy, which the consumer would consume whatever was needed on their homes or business premises, and we would build them, has changed. Now, they've got EVs, they've got solar panels, and the evolution is happening more and more. And with the evolution of batteries and everything, they demand more and more things. And then on the other side, obviously, the revolution in mobility itself has been there. The consumers are demanding from utilities not just a PDF or a printed bill to be sent to their homes. It's about, but I use Facebook, I use LinkedIn, I want everything on the mobile, I want everything. That's the experience I expect from a utility, because you are providing me a services and I pay you the money. So the expectation for things are evolving as well. Now, what does that mean? So from my perspective, this is the way I would define sort of the new challenges in a way. And before this, unfortunately, I've been a consultant as well. And we would always talk about either optimizing your CapEx or better utilization of your capital spends, and operational cost reductions were the two sort of the things. So where we wanted to define is, how would you define your customer experiences, how cost effective, and how would you run your sort of the profitability of the organization. Sorry. Okay. So from a Huawei perspective, the way we deal with it is we try and hide the complexities of the technology underneath, where you don't need to worry about it. I think that's the whole principles of being able to be driven from a business needs. Most of the solutions we have are driven from utilities business sort of the needs. What we have seen, different utilities on their different journeys across. So there were some examples given. I've worked with most of the utilities. NLX is actually very close to my heart. I worked with them for a while, establishing the NLX sort of the journey in Dubai as well, Diva. And these examples or the use cases have been evolved from working with these utilities. So again, we say we know the technology best, but at the end of the day, the problem is yours, and we will bring a solution to it. So that's what we do within Huawei, bringing all of the intelligent operation centers and everything together in one place, and hide the complexity from a technology perspective. Now, this is obviously depicting more how we deal with the need as we evolve with the smart grid, smart meter, however you want to call it. There will be an explosion of data. I'm sure you are seeing that within your organization, especially as you move towards smart meter. Obviously paved the way of 15 minutes or 30-minute interval data and everything coming in. The smart grids from a distribution perspective generate more and more data. We've had data in the past from SCADA system, from OT systems. We've had points coming in, but we didn't need it. It was only needed for that duration to make that judgment in a way. But the more advent of AI, analytics and everything, you need to store that data to be able to make better decisions for for your sort of the utilities in a way. So we provide you with a full end-to-end sort of a stack, starting from ingesting the data down to data aggregations, being able to run algorithms on it, analyze it, or give you the insights as what would help you to make certain decisions in it, and being able to not just visualize it in a nice sort of a dashboard graph, because that's what most of the board members or managements like. It's about taking the right action from those insights for us. So it's not, and the example we give is on the OMS. I think most of the people work with here from an outage management. It's not the best example to show a dashboard of how many outages are happening on my network and how many minutes am I losing. That's not the purpose of a data analytics. The purpose of an data analytics is to get the right person to where the outage is in the most effective fashion, and going forward, actually try and make sure the outage doesn't actually happen in the first place. And that's where we evolve into, the use cases evolve into from it. These are some of the use cases I've put in here. Obviously, the slides will be circulated down, and we work across different use cases, starting from intelligent operation, distributed energy, identified customer management, lots and lots of them of real use cases with real utilities globally, and the KPIs or benefits gained from each of these use cases being run on some sort of a technology platform. Again, as I said, Huawei offers the best-in-class sort of data lake solution globally within the cloud infrastructures. And one of the benefits of Huawei, which we realize within this region specifically, the nature of getting a private cloud within your limitations of the country or wherever you're working, because we know how the local environments work, local security work. Those all services can be provided on private clouds as well. So you're not reliant on your data movements or sending your smart meter data or SCADA data outside to any other geographies and stuff. We can provide it all natively, locally within the country itself. Again, the bigger thing which I like about it, the other thing where we're taking it to the next level in a way, it's not just about one technology to work itself. Yes, big data is great, analytics is great. But what Huawei brings to the whole thing is being able to combine the whole infrastructure layer and, more importantly, the communication layer. Remember, we've all had problems with dealing with how to connect our smart meters. RF meshes are typical examples of it, 3Gs, 4Gs, bad communication at remote locations and stuff. The power of it all comes down to having the best communication to every device possible, and then being able to manage the data coming from it and being able to utilize it in the right fashion. With the last 20 seconds, I'll leave you with some of the more innovative use cases we are working with utilities globally, and hopefully that will tell you the direction of general travel from our perspective. And these are some of the examples, starting from carbon trading. Obviously, it's one of the biggest industry which is globally coming out from a utilities perspective. Obviously, energy distribution, transportation, smart homes, marketplace, data monetization itself. Utilities have so much data, and we know utilities, how they've been monetizing it, using it with other data elements to make better sort of frames in. And I'll leave you on that note to think through, and if anybody wants to have a chat later, happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vakesh, on emphasizing the power of data. Since we know that the national grid of Saudi Arabia has advanced experiences in digital transformation, especially in substation inspection field, today we are honored to invite Mr. Mutlaq Al-Abaidli and Abdullah Al-Uwaidani to attend the summit. And yes, I would now welcome you, Mr. Mutlaq Al-Ubaidli, Engineering VP of the National Grid at Saudi Arabia, to speak to us about digital transformation at substations and show us their experience and future perspectives. Welcome.
Good day for everybody. I wish you a good time. My name is Mutlaq Al-Atabi, not Al-Ubaidli, so I corrected. Actually, I'd like to thank you for giving me the following few minutes to introduce you, to share with you some information about one of our main and major digital transformation initiative. We name it MISC, Maintenance Intelligent Support Center. Before I talk about that initiative, I will take you back 5 years ago. It's not very far, just 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we have shifted our approach, our maintenance approach, from time-based to conditional based. We went for reliability centered maintenance. And at the same time, we have introduced also asset management methodology to our system. So those two approaches require the data and required efficient monitoring system for our asset. So it became for us an issue how we control this problem. So we back to our system and see what is the available technology within our system. We found out that within the substation we have substation automation system. It is a huge source of data. And I can communicate with this in order to take any decision I need with respect to my substation. If there is, in case of any problem with one of our feeders or line or transformers. Also, there is standalone devices like digital fault recorder, partial discharge, DGA monitoring, online monitoring devices. So we ask ourselves one question: why we didn't integrate those data within one platform in order to assure efficient monitoring and controlling for our system? In this slide, it is very clear. The digital transformation here, it's a matter of integration, the scanning technology, plus the new emerging technology like drones, robotics, and diagnosis system like DGA, DFR, SAS, and RTU, and bring them in one dashboard. This is our Maintenance Intelligence Support Center. This dashboard required some know-how from one of the consultants or vendors. We have selected Huawei because they have the knowledge, and they bid for this, and they won our pilot project in this regard. It is ongoing initiative. It's not yet completed. We have selected 10 substations as a pilot. Our project will be completed in the first quarter of 2023. We believe, strongly believe, that we will succeed. And this will represent the very clear example in digital transformation in the maintenance activity. Research shows that you will save 25% from your OPEX, as well as 25% from your CAPEX if you adopted digital transformation within the business unit, within your maintenance activity. Not only this, you will increase the system resiliency. I'll give you an example. Imagine that or one of the feeders, a trip, or let's say one of the feeder protection maloperated and didn't trip. This will lead for the tripping of the backup protection, and I may lose the entire substation for a failure of one feeder protection. If I have a capability to communicate with IEDs, intelligent electronic devices related to that feeder, and do analysis, I can figure out that this interruption was due to maloperation of that feeder protection. So I can reset everything, ask dispatcher to open the feeder breaker, then I will ask dispatcher to restore or normalize the system. So I don't need to send anybody there. I restore the power to the customer in very fast time. This is one of the benefits of such center. This is what I have about Maintenance Intelligence Support Center. I would like to thank Huawei for giving me this opportunity to explain or to share with you this information regarding our initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Al-Utaibi, for the great insights, and we wish you all the best on your initiative moving forward. As promised, we're about to unveil the intelligent substation solution. But before that, I want to invite Mr. Hauji on the stage to present his slide, please.
Thanks a lot, our honorable guests from SCECA, and I will introduce a good solution for the substation inspection. And also, we, together with our industry-leading partner, like SCECA, we set up the substations inspection solution. And also, we together to set up the unified data integration system and unified remote inspection system, and also we have the unified one-site environment. I hope this substation inspections solution can help to provide the daily operations efficiency, accuracy, and also save the cost for every company. This solution also have a good practice in the ICC. I hope in the future we can cooperate with more and more customer and partner to enjoy the digital journey together. Okay, thanks.
Please let us also welcome on the stage Mr. David Shah, President, Enterprise Business Group of Huawei Middle East. Please put your hands on the screen and let us start the countdown. Ladies and gentlemen, the intelligent substation solution is now launched. Thank you very much. Our next topic is on building digital space security for electric power. Please welcome Director Marketing and Solutions Sales on Electric Power Digitalization Business Unit at Huawei Enterprise, Mr. Jason Lee, to present and speak to us about security.
Wait. Hello. So very excited. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Actually, it's not morning, so I will speed up my speech because it's already the lunch time. So welcome to the Huawei Global Electric Power Summit. My name is Jason. It's my great pleasure to be here. And today I will deliver a speech regarding building a safe and security digital space for electric power. So as Mr. mentioned, in the process of transforming traditional power system to future power system, the digital technology and the security are the two main aspects that electric companies should consider comprehensively, and the digital technology can help safeguard the daily operation of power system with safety and security at the cornerstone of the digital foundation. So as the national critical infrastructure, as Faith mentioned, the power system is facing challenges such as theft and vandalism, natural disasters, cyber threats, and ransomware attacks. So according to the Gartner report, the public services industry, such as electric power, is the second largest industry for hackers to attack on a continuous basis. So over the past 10 years, there have been a tremendous amount of blackouts and network interrupts due to these challenges. And as power systems are digitizing more and more, the digital space will face more and more cyber threats and the ransomware attacks. We just talked about the digital space. So let's go into more details. With the system and service going more and more digital, such as digital edge, communication networks, cloud data center, computing algorithm, and AI applications has been adopted into the power system. And this helped realize and establish the digital space for electric power. This new digital space brings its own challenges. With the access of a large number of IoT devices, the network system becomes more exposed. Traditional network boundaries are breached, and services are gradually cloudified. Application interfaces need to be opened by third party. Much fine-grained of security and control is required, and we need to consider the end-to-end data security in the whole data lifecycle. So both the physical and the digital space will be fully integrated and connected and has mutual effect. So how to use digital technology to ensure a safe and secure digital space? So first, let's look at the specific changes in the power grid. We can see the two key changes. The first one is to changing grid architecture. The grid gradually shifts from one-way flow of source, grid, and load into a much deeper interaction and of power source as well as grid, load, and storage. The power resources become more and more diversified and carbon neutral. And the grid will change to be more platform-like and will have to be more flexible. And the load side will change to electrification with a much higher grade of efficiency. So from the perspective of business changes, as we see, the workspace and the office space will develop more and more into mobile and remote collaborative way. Multiple devices are connected at the same time, and the services are deployed on demand. As a result, the data volume of the power grid will increase from terabyte to beyond the petabyte, sometimes even exabyte. So the amount control points will change from hundreds or thousands to more than millions. And the delay in physical daily operations will change from partial real-time and reactive to always-on, real-time, and proactive. So these changes will affect the initial and the default safety and the security boundaries and the settings. So how can we ensure and secure digital space in the face of these new changes? Let's see this page. Okay, in the past, the security of the electricity was largely based on reactive detection response mechanisms, which were unable to defend against a constantly growing number of cyber threats. So what we need is to build a business-centric, resilient, and secure architecture, and establish reliable and deterministic environment with intrinsic safety and security systems. So, and the secure operations management to guarantee continuously operations of key services in the event of cyber attacks. So, intrinsic security is like the skeleton and bone structures, establish the certainty and the stability of internal business. The security and the defense system are like the immune system, defending against and reducing the uncertainty of external threats. Operation management is like the brain that can quickly and intelligently turn around the uncertainty of the system. So to further define and secure digital space, so Huawei proposed to build a resilient and secure architecture for electric power based on 3 defense mechanisms: anti-interruption at the transmission layer, and anti-attack and the network layer, and anti-ransomware at the data layer. And together with the reliable hardware and trusted software and professional safety and security services, we could ensure the security of electric power digital space to achieve external compliance, to ensure continuous service, and to prevent network breakdown, so no data is lost and business is not interrupted. Let's look at the anti-interruption in the transmission layer. The power communication network must ensure a 4-layer defense system that's available at any time. The dual plane structure, as we propose, is a key choice to ensure the safety of power grid. In addition, we propose to build a 3rd plane to face extreme situation and realize a never interrupt power communication network. And further assures that anti-risk capability of 99% of the key power assets with a less than 1% investment. The power grid is evolving towards an intelligent network, building an intelligent and efficient electric power. Communication networks becomes an inevitable choice for grid development. Huawei has recently released the white paper on electric power communication network. You can also scan this QR code to download it and try to review it. This page is introducing anti-attack at the network layer and anti-ransomware at the data layer. At the network layer, firewalls, sandbox, and situational awareness are combined as a solution to defend against cyber attacks. And at the data layer, production storage and backup storage are protected. Technologies such as ransomware attacks detection secure snapshot and air-gap replication are used to build a complete ransomware protection and defense line to prevent virus from being hidden or modified. Networks and the storage associations enable a timely detection and processing mechanism to provide ultimate protection and at the same time safeguard electric power critical data. So let's share some cases. To start, CEM built a so-called AB dual plane to construct a secure, reliable, and sustainable converged communication network for electric power. The core services are loaded on 2 planes to implement dual channels and which enhance its reliability. The network meets the service requirement for the next 10 years, which is future-proof and future-oriented. Next is the case of about the Zero Trust Network construction in China Grid Company. A Zero Trust network aims to implement refined control over data access, data connection, and data sharing. And data usage through the continuous and dynamic authentications and authorizations with a high level of access protection. This ensures data is controllable throughout the value chain. The third case is about ransomware protection in South Africa. The ransomware protection solution helps with zero data tampering and deletion, which ensures and secures the power production, gives us 30% lower TCO, which centralized and unified management anti-ransomware and much easier operation and operations. Huawei commits to continuous investment in the security field. We have more than 2,500 R&D people and invest nearly $700 million US every year. As the Chinese saying going, 防患于未然, which means precautions before that happens. As such, we have established the Weiran Lab. In addition, we also have the Shield Lab, which focus on future security technologies and researches. As you see, we have invested huge resources in the security area. So, time flies, and this is the last page of my presentation. Thank you again, honorable guests, and join us the summits online and also remotely. We don't forget it. And I hope we can work together to for further protect and secure the digital space and create a new venue together. That's all. Thank you.
We sell prepaid electricity. He takes the money you pay him, he buys prepaid electricity, he makes what he's making for you, and he's earned his daily bread. So that's our context within which we need to look at what we're doing. So when we talk about powering people for better lives, that's what we're talking about. And the same applies for hairdressers, where the ladies go to get their hair done and look nice. So in terms of our scope of our mandate, we purchase from all the generators. We then dispatch, and we are the system operator. We have certain elements of transmission, although there's a transmission company, and then we retail. So we're the sole retailer of power in Kenya, and then of course we manage the customers. Some key numbers from the last financial year. Our financial year runs to the end of June, And I'm using June 2021 numbers. We're just about to release our results for this year. Because we're a listed company, then there's a whole process of how we do that. So I'll not use our 2022 numbers. But our shareholding, the government owns 50.1% of the company. Therefore, they have a controlling stake. And that's strategic because they want to ensure that as a company, we don't go fully commercial. There's also a social obligation to ensure that every part of Kenya gets power and all Kenyans are powered. We're in every part of the country, all 8 administrative regions, all 47 counties. We have 9,300 employees, which is quite a large workforce. As at the end of June 2021, we're at 8.4 million customers. Today, as we speak, we're at 8.9 million customers. That's a number I can disclose. So we roughly add about 500,000 customers to the grid every year. Energy purchased in total, we purchased 12,000 gigawatt hours in that financial year ending in June. What's the power supply status? We're very proud because we've been given by God natural resources. So 90% of our power is green. So geothermal is 863 megawatts. Hydro is 838 megawatts. Wind is 436 megawatts. Biomass is only 2 megawatts. Solar is 130. And then thermal is 586. So total installed capacity is 3,000 gigawatts. Effective is 2.8 gigawatts. And then on average, we do about 2.1 available capacity. So that's a pie chart showing about our energy mix. And like I said, we are 90% green. So we are very lucky and proud of this. So we run only about 10% thermal. And in our dispatch priority, we always give the green sources more time. Some of the other key numbers, again, context is important. We have 345 primary substations. We have 82,000 kilometers of high voltage and medium voltage lines. And then we have 156,000 kilometers of low voltage lines. And as I mentioned, at that point, we were 8.4 million customers. Today, we're at 8.9 million customers. Numbers are important. Again, we're a $1 billion company. In the last financial year, that ended a year ago, we did about $1.4 billion of revenue. Our operating profit was $170 million. And remember what I mentioned about the government being a key shareholder and needing to ensure that we get power to each and every Kenyan. This is what affects our bottom line. Because a majority of the customers whom we serve actually are not profitable. But at the end of the day, as the sole provider of electricity in the country, we need to make sure that every Kenyan has power and we are powering their lives. So therefore, you'll not see big profit numbers. If we were allowed to run fully commercial, the numbers would be very different. But we're happy, we're proud as a company that we're serving all Kenyans. Huge capex, 186 million. And fortunately for us, our numbers are looking up. I'll run through this because I know I'm the one standing between you and your lunch. Our OT evolution, prior to 2007, we were running low connectivity for our SCADA. Only about 30 substations had connectivity. We're using power line carrier, narrowband, and distant protection for the grid. 2007 to 2010, we started the initial rollout of our fiber, about 2,000 kilometers of OPGW. 2010 to 2021, we then started increasing our SCADA connectivity, moving to STM4. And then in 2022, we have about 7,000 kilometers of both OPGW and ADSS. IT, again, we started connecting our offices on low bandwidth links, about 512 kbps. 2007 to 2010, the rollout I talked about of OPGW. By 2010 to 2021, we're moving to gigabit Ethernet. And then this year, we have embarked on a FTTX project. Key use case, prior to 2009, Kenya was one of the few places in the world that didn't have undersea fiber connectivity. What did that mean? We were paying 10,000 US dollars per megabit. 10,000 US dollars per megabit. We then, the government of Kenya, partnered with all the telcos and did a project called TEAMS, the East African Marine System Cable, running from Mombasa, our port city, all the way to Fujairah, which is just down the road, a point-to-point cable. And that was a game changer, because prior to that, we were using satellite, very expensive, very slow, very limited in capacity. If you are a corporate then, you were paying huge amount of money to get a 512K link. It was a privilege to have a 1 meg international link, however big you are, if you're a Coca-Cola or all these large multinationals. Today, a megabit, because of this link, costs $1. And we think that's still expensive. So imagine 2009, you're paying $10,000, lucky to get 1 meg. Today, you're paying $1 per megabit, and it's unlimited capacity. Since then, many cables have landed on the Kenyan coast. Most recently is the Peace Cable, which landed a few months ago, but now we have about 5 or 6 cables. Now, what was the challenge, and where does KPLC come into this? After many years, we landed the cable at the coast, but most of the consumers are inland. Capital city Nairobi is 500 kilometers away. How do you get that capacity? Remember, previously, we're using satellite. So everybody has all these satellite earth stations in their premises. Now you have tons of capacity at the coast. So Kenya Power actually deployed fiber, OPGW, between Nairobi and Mombasa, and that's how we got the connectivity from Mombasa all the way to Nairobi and then distributed across the country. And again, that was a game changer. For us, the ROI on that project was like 2 years. It was very, very good numbers. All the operators were our customers, and it was a game changer, and that's why today Kenya is where they are in terms of internet presence. Dark fiber services is what we started. I know I only have 2 minutes left, so I'll run through it quickly. So we have a network of 400 kV, 200 kV, 132 kV, which is our core backbone infrastructure that we use. And as you can see, it's all over the country, other than the north of the country, which is not as populated as the rest. So the upper half, our network is yet to reach there, so most of the solutions, most of the power there is off-grid. This is a logical indication of our network. I won't talk through it, but coast to coast, all the way from Mombasa in the east to Malaba in the west, where we border with Uganda. Our customers, like I mentioned, all telco customers in Kenya are our customer, simply because of our vast network infrastructure, and again, reliability. So we offer on our OPG solution 99% SLA, which is quite high. The good thing is that with our overhead power, people don't mess with power. When you have 132 kV or 220, nobody's going to be messing with that. And the few who have tried have been vaporized. So these are all our customers. Finally, our FTTX project, which we've embarked on with Huawei recently. We want to now take our OT and IT solutions to the next level. Initially, we started because of the IT. We want to ensure that not only do we connect our own offices, but we have a lot of service providers asking us for capacity. So when we started with dark fiber, they're taking it, but they have to light it themselves. But with the tremendous growth in Kenya of these services, most of them are now saying, we can't be everywhere. So they've done all the major towns, but they want to reach the next wave of the population, and it's impossible for them to light this themselves. So that's why we decided to embark on it, because we need it for our own smart grid. So one of the things is we're going to be our own anchor customer. My vision is to ensure every component of the network is online, all the way from the meter to the transformer and all the way back to the generation stations. Conceptual diagram, so on the left you'll have the internet connectivity. We then get to the data centers, then you get into our optical transport network, the metro, and then the FTTX distribution side of things, where you have your OLTs, your FATs, FTTs, and all the way down to the ONTs. And also we are exploring using Wi-Fi, providing outdoor Wi-Fi in some situations. This is the network architecture. I won't go into it because I know you're looking forward to your lunch, but effectively what we've done, we've divided Nairobi into 4, north, east, south, west. We've set up some hubs. We've put in our infrastructure there, connected by this optical transport network, and it's a solution from Huawei. Our future network is to take this design countrywide. And finally, we have a good partner in Huawei. We chose Huawei because they have very vast experience in terms of optical networks, as well as the research and development capabilities that they do provide to us. So we're happy to work with Huawei, and for us it's an eye-opener. It's the first time we're working with them. Previously we worked with some of their competitors, but so far so good. We have a very good experience with Huawei, and I'm quite excited to be seeing some of the other solutions they provide in the energy space. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my presentation, and thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Mungo, on the insightful speech and your great achievements. This brings us to the ending of this session. Thank you for all the audience streaming online and you guys here today. Before heading out, we do announce two newly white papers. You can scan the barcode to view and download. But also, as for Huawei's employees, please scan the code on your right and there to document and give feedback on VOCs. Thank you, everyone, for being here today, and y'all have a delightful day.